Hello everybody! Welcome to, it's not really a Sunday Funday, but I'm going to call it that anyway, over a movie I know that's technically been out since last year. But damn it, I've only just seen it now. In fact, it took forever and a day for Netflix to finally decide to send it. Like, here, it's out on DVD now. And though technically I think it was supposed to come out on DVD in March. I don't know. But yeah, as you can see, this is a Sunday Funday over Shin Godzilla. As y'all have already known from my just love and adoration I've already spoken about with Godzilla Final Wars and other, times I've talked about Godzilla, I love Godzilla. He's one of my favorite little characters I've always enjoyed in terms of the kaiju. Sure, he has his good movies, he has his bad movies, but I've always enjoyed, the idea behind Godzilla. It's just a giant monster, a guy in a rubber suit going around just blowing the ever-living shit out of stuff. And it's just meant to be good, wholesome family entertainment with blood and guts. But no, more than anything, it's meant to just be that, entertaining. So when I heard, hey, Japanese are wanting to redo Godzilla, they're wanting to launch a new one, I was like, okay, I'm fairly interested. I'm curious what they're going to do with it. And then I started seeing trailers for it, and I was like, okay, well, Godzilla's barely in it. Then they kind of show him, like, what the fuck is that I'm looking at? This is this red and black thing that looks like the Godzilla from Destroya, Godzilla vs. Destroya, which actually at least had a reason why he was red and black, or red and dark green. So, I was like, alright, maybe they'll explain. It will make a lot more sense whenever I get down to it, right? I finally watched this, and I've heard mixed reviews about it. Critics really seem to like this movie a lot, and the actual Godzilla fans are fairly... most of them don't really like it. There's a few there in the camp of liking it simply because it's a new idea of a new take on Godzilla, and I will say that it is a new, different take on Godzilla, but I am firmly in a not liking camp. Oh my god, this movie. This is a film that I totally get why movies that are all about American politics or feature that as a mainstay of anything, why those are very uninteresting film, The Foreigners. The main crux of this entire film, in fact, probably I would say 90% of its runtime is not focused on Godzilla. That's fairly common for a Godzilla film. Like, people originally were complaining about the 2014 American Godzilla, that it's like, well, Godzilla's only like 10% of the movie. That's kinda common. That's not unusual at all. It's like, people complain about there being no Godzilla in a Godzilla film, or being very low Godzilla in a Godzilla film. It's a shtick. Magic jump cut. Sorry, I can hear my ceiling fan going off, and I was like, okay, maybe I can get away with it. But no, it's making a bunch of racket. It's bothering me. Yeah. To set up this movie in a lot of ways, and the reason why I'm talking about, whole politics and everything, and not really to speak about the lack of Godzilla, because, I mean, that's a common thing, and I was expecting that. Though, to be fair, I will say this movie has quite a bit of this Shin Godzilla. I'm going to call him that. Actually, I don't really feel good about that. I'm going to call him Shin God. Because, alright, let's just put it this way. They eventually kind of explain Godzilla in this, because we need to have another fucking explanation on how Godzilla became created. It's like, oh my god, y'all can't just live with it. He's a giant lizard that got changed by radioactive waste. Or at least with the American versions, like, he's a, ancient beast. So, alright, I can believe that, I can be fine with that. Yeah. In this, he is a seed creature that mutated thanks to nuclear waste. He's not a lizard, though. So why is his name Godzilla, then? Like, they say it's like, well, the Americans called him Godzilla. They think that's a catchy name, blah, blah. No, he's just Shin God. That's all he is. He's nothing more. He might as well be Shrimp. Might be God Shrimp. That'd be a better name. Because it's pretty much just how the movie begins by showing eventually Godzilla. Like, it has this, oh, well, there's this big thing that happens, this hullabaloo. And it tries to do a very... You would totally expect this to be in a Cloverfield film, because it decides to do a lot of found footage at the beginning. And why it does it, I don't know, because it drops it quickly after 10 minutes. Or not even that long. But quickly it drops the found footage stick. And I was like, okay, well, if it goes for found footage, I'm going to call it a bit of a Cloverfield knockoff. But if it does it decently enough, I'm fine with that. But like I said, it drops it. And now, mind you, I'm going to skip ahead here, but eventually, like, the Godzilla creature comes up, and it's the dumbest looking thing in the world. It looks like if you just, like, super glued stupid little stubby legs and big old googly eyes onto an earthworm. And it's just him running down the street, just clang, 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 clang. It is the most unintentionally hilarious thing that they are trying to pass off as very scary. And that's the thing, I will say this movie's trying to go a lot more for the terror of Godzilla. It's going for, you know, this is more of a thriller than it's meant to be an action film. Which is fine, but it's Godzilla, people. I mean, come on. I'm thrilled that you're trying, but, you know, realize what film you're doing for us. So, like I said, I skipped ahead from Godzilla. Actually, you know, he kind of like spurts up this water, I guess, and then Google Ice Monster. Mind you, that's what they keep saying. It's like, it's Godzilla. This is what becomes Godzilla, because it begins evolving like instantly, because somebody has watched way too much damn Pokemon Digimon. And this happened. Sorry, one of my neighbors really wants to rev their car because I really disagree with my opinions. But mind you, all this is interspersed. Like the whole like Godzilla, I'm going to put a lot of quotations. I'm just going to call him Shrimpzilla. That sounds good, even though he's still not Zilla. But he pops up and you see a little bit of the destruction of what he's doing. Pretty much he's just running through the streets with big stupid googly eyes. It is the most off-putting thing in the world, because like any terror is destroyed by this terrible looking CGI. I get it, Japanese, like, y'all don't always put as much effort as Americans do into, you know, live action CGI. But come on, this is the king of the fucking monsters, and you're going to put zero looking effort into it. It looks bad. It looks really, really bad. This looks like early 2000s, late 90s CGI monster. Like the fucking American Godzilla from the 1998 Roland Emmerich piece of shit. At least that looked more becoming of Godzilla than this thing did. Ugh. But like I said, you don't really see him finally become Godzilla until probably 3/4 of the way of the film. Because we can't have this movie just be, you know, about people reacting to terror or anything like that. That would be, you know, a true thriller or anything. Like what it feels like it's trying to do, but it fails a lot. No, we have to have all this political bullshit. We have to see think tanks in Japan about dealing with the monster. How can we stop it? And it feels like this is supposed to be taking place over weeks or months, but you realize it's actually only hours, and you're like, the fuck is going on? And we have all this shit about, well, what if there are civilians? It's like, I don't need your war feelings in the middle of a goddamn Godzilla film. This feels really unnecessary. It also feels kind of stupid, to be honest. Especially considering you have a terrible CGI lizard thing. Or actually not even a lizard, it's a shrimp. Oh my god, this fucking like... And it's quick cuts too. Like, we'll see somebody, they're talking like this. It's like, oh my god, can we see one scene for 5 seconds? I mean, it's incredibly jarring, and it just takes you right out of the movie. You're like, alright, they're jack-jawing about shit I couldn't care less about. It would be like sitting there and trying to watch your local news station talk about how they're going to raise funds to pay for the new water fountain. And they're doing it as the quickest cuts and like showing somebody really up close. Oh, I have something important to say. Important stuff I say. And that's it. It's like, bleh. you, and it's so overtly like trying to be this faux drama bullshit. You couldn't care less the whole time. And it's like, I don't have any leanings or caring towards the current state of Japanese foreign affairs, or how Japan sees its military or anything like that. To be honest, it doesn't fit well. That's a problem. It's like, you can't sit there and try and talk about Japan's military capabilities, or whether they should even have a military or anything else, in the middle of a goddamn Godzilla movie. It just doesn't fit. It would be like trying to have a story about the environment, and you're doing this in the middle of a post-apocalyptic film that has cannibals. It really doesn't sit well, and it kind of clashes with the other part of the movie you're trying to watch. And that's the thing, you're sitting there going, you're not sitting there wanting to see the Godzilla monster because, one, it doesn't look very good. Like, even whenever it becomes like the Godzilla thing, it looks like this misshapen piece of dough that got burnt to shit, and somebody said, alright, I'll paint red on it, that'll look like sauce, and maybe we can pass this off as a mutated pizza. And it just looks weird. He always looks off, and he never looks real. I mean, that's a sad thing to say, because I think eventually maybe it is by a suit, but I don't know. I checked out this movie by 35, 40 minutes where I'm like, I don't fucking care about the politics here. It was bad enough that in Godzilla's Revenge, or Godzilla's Revenge, technically the name for it, but yeah, it is Godzilla's Revenge to us Americans. The second movie where you get to see Godzilla's son. It was bad in that whenever they had to keep hammering home, it's like, hey, kidnapping's a bad thing, or we had to keep cutting away to this kid, and he's obnoxious, and he's stupid, he's annoying. This, instead, we had this main character, and I will tell you, I did watch it dubbed, because after like 5-10 minutes of reading this wannabe inspirational, or I guess supposed to be something, subtitles, I'm like, I'm fucking not caring. Alright, I'll turn on the dub. The guy never really puts a whole lot of effort, and I know the dubs aren't always the greatest, but I would expect more, especially considering Godzilla Final Wars is one of the best dubs that is in the Godzilla films. There's just the right amount of ham, there's just the right amount of actual emotions shown. And there's also this one lady who, everything is said with just, I think even the voice actress or the dubber, she was like, I don't know if this lady's supposed to sound really excited about what she is, because she has the emotions of a robot. And everything she's like, the monster's killing everything. It's delivered with all the enthusiasm of somebody who's trying to sell you a used car. Ugh. Yeah, and eventually they defeat Godzilla because they shove cold stuff in his mouth and that freezes him and stuff. Because they were trying to keep a nuke from being dropped on Tokyo. Even though Tokyo's pretty much been nuked. Because they do explain, it's like, yeah, this creature releases radioactive stuff, it's pretty much killing everybody. Though some other like, well, we can wear these suits and it's just fine. It's like, alright. Those suits are good for a certain amount of time, but after a while, they're going to wear through. Ugh. So, is there anything decent about the movie? Because, like I said, I'm shitting all over this film. I mean, I don't care about the voice actors. They sound mostly bored. Some do a decent enough job, but most of them just sound like they would rather be anywhere else. The actual acting from the Japanese actors is bizarrely subdued. Like, there's one guy who's supposed to obviously be, he's supposed to look stern. It also looks like he's just kind of bored with everything. Like, even near the end, he's like, Red Team Go! Like, the guy who's doing the voice acting, he's actually putting a lot of emphasis, he makes it sound like, pretty much like a Power Rangers guy calling forth, like, go White Power Ranger, White Tiger Sword, And instead, the guy's face is Go red team. Go forward, you. So the acting's kind of terrible. And it's not even terrible in like a funny way, it's just bad. It's not Tommy Wiseau, it's not like most Godzilla films where it's like, it's bad, but it's laughably bad. It's something you can enjoy. You just sit back and like, alright, I'm going to enjoy this. No, you just sit there like, this is just terrible. Nobody even seems like they're having fun here. Also, the film can't decide what the fuck it wants to be. Does it want to be a monster movie? Does it want to be a kind of horror-based film in any sort of sense or anything like that? Does it want to be a political film? I don't know. Let's just do all of them and do none of them good. And like I said, CGI mostly is pretty terrible. Though I will give it this much, there is a decent sequence when eventually the military like finally engaged we'll just say the monster, and in the military, do at least somewhat of a semblance of a smart thing. They don't just charge for it being stupid. But it's hard to give a shit. It's really, really hard to give a shit throughout this entire film. Like, there were a lot of times I have, like, realized, like, oh, God. Rolled my eyes so hard, I think I heard them scrape against the top of my own head. And it's a nearly 2-hour-long film. And it feels every second of that. You're like, oh my God, is this done? No, there's still a fucking hour left. And just because they kind of blew their load too early. They like have Godzilla do the classic retreat thing, but they have no reason why he retreat. He just like, I'm gonna go here. Okay, the fuck. This movie was pretty bad. Like I said, there's like one scene that's kind of decent at its best, but even then it's sandwiched in all this misery and unhappy filmmaking. And like I said, it would have been one thing if it tried to be a Cloverfield knockoff. Like the first little bit, I'm like, alright, this isn't what I wanted from a Godzilla film, but I'm fine enough putting up with it. And I was like, okay, maybe this can be good. No, okay, the movie just kind of shits all over it. Shit's not hard, too, like a big nasty diarrhea dump. So I will just say, it's like those who are curious and who haven't seen it, don't. It's not worth your time. This will actively make you think the Japanese have lost their damn mind and have no idea how to do Godzilla justice anymore. And it's sad to say that because you say it's like only Japanese can do Godzilla well. See Roland Emmerich, then we saw Gareth Edwards, which I'm like, some people are like, oh, well, how dare they have a monster movie where monsters fight? The fuck? Well, the humans, just kind of had basic storylines. Yeah, but he had a characterization. He still had a personality. He still felt for his wife. He was still worried about her. He still wanted to save her and defeat these monsters. I don't know why we would give a shit about any of the characters in Shin Godzilla. And that's the worst thing. There are about 3,000 fucking characters, it feels like. I couldn't tell you a single one of these people's names. In most of the Godzilla films, I could tell you at least a number of the characters' names. Like, oh yeah, that's Hiro, or that's Mitsurugi. I know I'm probably calling a Soul Calibur character out here. I could say, it's like, oh yeah, that's this person. Yeah, they do this and this and that. Or at least I could remember something important about them besides the fact the actors weren't doing a good job. Like, at least I could remember from Godzilla Final Wars that there was the guy who was like the main hero. He was special because he actually was not artificially created. He actually just born special and had all these mutant capabilities. He was able to flip it and do all that fun shit. Hell, even one of the worst Godzilla films, Godzilla's Revenge, which I don't know what the hell it's still called Godzilla's Revenge for, at least I could still tell you there is an annoying kid in there. The best thing I can say about this movie is there's a lot of bored-sounding actors and actresses, and you have a storyline that's arguably one of the weakest I've ever seen in a Godzilla film. Like, at least the original Godzilla film, like, when he tore through a town. It made sense. It actually explained it. You felt terror. Not only that, but you actually didn't see much of it. So then whenever he eventually did destroy Tokyo almost utterly, you really felt some sorrow. You felt horrified by it. And you wanted to see the good guys come out on top. Here he's just kind of a thing walking through, and it just happens to go through a city. And again, it doesn't help that they never really give good directions or anything. Like they mentioned, like, oh, he's going through this city. He can go to Tokyo in just a few hours. Okay, can you fucking tell me which side of the island it at least is on? Can you give me something? It's kind of weird when we do it, so I got to foreigners, I'm guessing. So can y'all at least, help us out here? We'll return the favor in the next movie. Oh, but yeah, this is really shaking my faith in the ability of Japanese to be able to do good monster movies anymore. I mean, this movie just focuses on nothing, or focuses on everything in the wrong time, so it accomplishes nothing by the end of it. If you want to score, it seems like I'm really shitting on it, and I kind of am. I will give this a 2. Like I said, that one scene is actually pretty good, but you gotta go through so much bullshit, and then you have no payoff by the end of it. And you're just like, I guess the movie's now over whenever it finally ends. You're like, I'm fucking happy it's over. I can go do something better with my time. Like dig my hand, or dig with no glove on through cow shit. Blech. Fuck Shin Godzilla and this shrimp monster they made. I hope if they do another Godzilla Final Wars, they do just like they did with the American Godzilla and blow this motherfucker apart. I'd be so satisfied then. So, yeah, that's all I can say about Shin Godzilla. Fuck it, I don't ever want to see this again. I don't even want to own this. Like, I own almost every Godzilla film, with the exception of Son of Godzilla and the first Mechagodzilla film. For some reason, those two are real pain in the asses to be reproduced. Oh, and Godzilla vs. Megalon. And at least they are campy and enjoyable. This will never reach that. I never will see this reaches, even in my lifetime or anything. So, fuck it. Just to let y'all know, there will be a Lego Ninjago review. Megan and me did go see it Friday night, actually. We are trying to find time. Megan actually had something she wanted to do tonight, which is technically Saturday. So hopefully we'll have it up for you Monday morning or so. We'll see how everything all plays out. And also there is going to be a Kingsman review. I'm going to see Kingsman one way or another if somebody wants to go with me, or if I'm going by myself. I don't care. So don't worry, y'all. I will give my viewpoints on more than just a shitty-ass Godzilla film that doesn't deserve to have that name attached to it. So until then, everybody, I'll see y'all later. So bye-bye, everybody.